Sorry.
Hi everyone, Ren'Py here bringing you our Let's Code for February 22nd. We are working on planning for KamiDev, which is the new project we are going to make as a group and contribute to as a group for either NaNoRen'Py or just as a general long-term project. And I'm going to be basically recording the whole process, and we're going to go through making a visual novel RPG from start to finish together. Okay. Okay.
Yay. So, first things first, Emfish, I have a question. Like a full-on RPG, a visual novel, a hybrid of both? What is it exactly?
It's going to be primarily RPG in that we are going to pay more attention to the stats and the mechanics of the battles than we are going to the story, because I feel like a good visual novel needs a really good story, but that may take longer to decide on, you know? So we're gonna focus on the things that we can bang out, which are like the mechanics and to some degree the art, because the art is going to be based on the actual people in dev talk as opposed to made up characters.
Oh, do you have like an ideal cast already, or are we gonna start with like a blank protagonist so that, you know?
Well, the protagonist or the player is going to be playing as like a team lead. So it'll be kind of like, it'll be the team lead rather than an actual character. So it's like your job is to not necessarily do the deving yourself, but to manage the other people doing the deving.
So the player plays as himself, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And who are the members of like dev talk that you're gonna include for KamiDev?
I'm basically going to include anybody who's here semi-regularly and wants to be involved.
Okay. So what is the size of the cast we're looking at? Is there, and oh, maybe is there gonna be like a final boss from a dev talk like member or something?
The final boss will be making the Kamige. So when you battle, you're not going to be fighting against other devs or anything. You're going to be fighting against the work required to create the game. Does that make sense, or is that confusing?
Yeah, that's a strange concept, but I think it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm making it a little bit more abstract, but it's like your strength and your stats are going to be based on your skills, and so that's how shows how much damage you're going to take or make and take actually. And therefore you're going to I lost my train of thought there, sorry.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like any sort of game influences and fish that, so we could have like an idea of the system that we're looking at, just as a like sort of jumping off sort of place?
I don't have any particular influences. Like the games that influence me the most are more strategy RPGs, but we're not going to make one of those. We're going to have like, straight up battles where you don't have to navigate to the right place and things like that. Because I feel like that would be a bigger scope that we don't need to do, at least not yet.
So there's not gonna be a world map.
There might be a world map, but not a map within the battles themselves, if that makes sense.
I'm afraid I don't get it.
So, like, you know how Fire Emblem has, it has a world map and it has, each battle has its own map grid and stuff.
I get
So, that's the difference I'm making right here. We're gonna have a world map for sure. At least I think we are. And
okay, oh, sorry, are you speaking them?
no, I'm fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. Okay, so
this is like Uncle then.
A bit broken. Okay.
Don't worry.
Actually, I'm gonna be a bit preoccupied in the next 10 minutes, but if it's okay, Ampish, could you like explain like the very basic like sort of things you've already come up with? So, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, you had like a motivation bar and
Yes, I have a design document. Well, not a design document yet, but I have some notes that I've linked already, and I'll link them again in Dev Club.
okay.
And
I haven't opened that.
okay.
So should there be like, for example, sort of events that happen in the game itself, or should it be like just a continuous grind until it gets harder and harder until you reach the KamiDev levels?
Well, I was thinking that we can at least originally focus more on the battles that get harder and harder, because that's what's going to have the hardcore coding mechanics in it. The actual coding of like events and story and dialogue is going to be much less intensive, and we can add that in later if and when we want to.
Alright.
Because this is still primarily a let's code, so we're focused on the coding side of things. And I just, like, I don't want to get people bored by going into great detail about how we're going to make the story and stuff like that, because everybody has their own story they want to make. And I don't want to force them to work on a story they're not interested in. I just want to give them a setting in which we can say, okay, here is some code that we are working on for this. You can feel free to make use of this or adapt it to your own needs and put your own story on it, basically.
Right, so, okay, well, sorry, go ahead. No, please go ahead. I've been talking for a while now. I'm now reading these notes, and I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the overall slash team stats, are they gonna work like, have you guys played Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker or 5? Metal Gear Solid 5?
I have not, actually.
Okay, so in those games you manage your mother base, it's called, and you have all this kind of stuff like, and you have to make your research and development team do its job to like acquire new weapons and stuff. So what I'm asking is money going to work like that? Like you, how do I phrase this? Like you get the money and you choose what kinds of things you are gonna spend it, and is there gonna be a timer and such for like recruiting new members and such, or is it just is it gonna be like a shop in like you spend money and instantly get new members?
Yeah, it's you get new members and then you can use them in the next battle based on with the money and or recruitment if you can manage to do it for free.
So the new members are gonna be expendable like one battle and they are out, or
no, they join your team permanently. I haven't yet decided. I was going to leave this up to you guys as to whether we want to make it so that we have that recruiting someone is a one-time payment or is a continuous payment as you go.
Yeah, continuous payment seems like the more kind of realistic choice, and it's kind of more interesting because you're gonna be you
you will have to grind money to keep your strongest members working for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, so it could have be like members that are not active if you are choosing to not pay them or something like that. Joey, what do you mean by Ren'Py libraries? Do you mean things from the cookbook?
I'm talking about like pre-written Ren'Py code.
Okay, so I'm probably going to be writing this from scratch.
Oh, right.
And then we'll be working on it together. So, like, the decision-making process, everybody will be involved in. And then I will basically be leading the actual coding effort, but if we run into any challenges, we'll solve them together. The, like, challenges on how to approach things, we'll work on those together. And I'll just do the actual typing, you know?
Okay, sounds cool.
Ampish, Ampish, I have a question.
Sure.
So, because our progression rate is, of course, the games you make it more harder and harder, but isn't it just basically like changing the variable to make the requirements to fulfill the goal like bigger? Won't there be something like, for example, in games, usually when you go through an RPG, for example, it's not just necessarily the health of the boss gets bigger and bigger. Usually there are status effects in play, or there's a unique mechanic introduced. So how are we gonna like try and apply that to KamiDev?
I think, well, one thing I was thinking about is that the goal is not necessarily just to make the KamiDev, Kamige. The whole goal is also to build your audience. So that's something that can build over time by completing smaller games, just the same way as it can by like not completing a larger game. Like, so it's kind of like you're gonna have to pick your battles. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But the question is, there might be like a sort of a repetitive nature if each game is just basically you need to have this amount of stat or this amount of stat. Is there like some sort of variety we could introduce in some way? I mean, yeah, having to choose your battles is one of those, but am I making my point somehow, or is it a bit like?
I think I understand what you're saying. You just want to make sure that it doesn't get too grindy. And I want to say that, well, I want to say two things. First of all, the end goal of KamiDev is not particularly to make a game that will sell well.
Right.
The purpose of it is to go through the process of making a game and facing the challenges involved in that. And so, yes, we would like to make it as interesting as possible. And if you think of any unique mechanics we can throw in there in certain situations, that would be great. We can totally integrate it. But I feel like the basic framework, that is not as necessary because we're not actually planning to sell KamiDev.
Right. So it's more about the experience we as a whole, as a team, can get from working on this.
Yes. It's more about the journey than the finished product.
Yeah.
But, I mean, anybody who comes up with cool ideas can certainly make suggestions. I'm making this like a crowdsourced RPG almost, so that anybody who wants to can contribute.
That's gonna be interesting.
Ampish, maybe
The idea
yeah,
is
it is.
Will
Ampish,
this be on
what
GitHub?
if we?
Will this be on GitHub?
I would put the code on GitHub, though I don't think I would let other people just randomly contribute code. Does that make sense? Like, I'd be the keeper of the code, but everybody else can contribute ideas, assets, whatever else they want.
I think you can choose who gets to merge with the master branch.
Yeah, I need to look into that more, but definitely, the code is definitely going to be available in open source.
Alright.
Ampish, have we defined already like the goals of this project, like the specific like goals that we will be learning or we would try to achieve
Hi, Chris.
for KamiDev?
What's up?
Hi, Chris.
Hey, welcome.
Guys, Chris is a composer and voice actor friend of mine, so he may or may not be contributing, but contributing that part of it, but he's also interested in the RPG mechanics too, so I invited him to come by.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet y'all.
Hi, dude.
Hello.
So yeah, we're just talking about the goals of the project at the moment. And, I'm sorry, Chair, what was your question again?
Like, what are the goals we're trying to achieve? I think we should define that. Like, we need to learn about leveling up or something. We need to learn about variables, or what are like the exact specific? Because in the curriculum, usually, right, you have a goal. Like by the end of the semester, you know this stuff. So by the end of this project, what is it that we should have like learned about?
Okay. So the really high level goal is to learn the practical knowledge of Python and Ren'Py that you're going to need in order to make an RPG with Ren'Py. I know that's really vague, but that's my very high level vision of it. I have not yet gone down to low level of these are the components we're going to need yet. So that's one thing we can do tonight if you want. Quiet. Oh God, Chris.
Whoa, impressive.
I actually thought my Discord was just messing up.
Oh wow.
I was like, nope, what's the sound?
Yeah.
So wait, we're doing this on Ren'Py?
Ren'Py, yes.
Ren'Py.
Is that really how you say it?
Yes, that's really how you say it.
I've never heard it
For
said
the longest
once.
time, I said it Ren'Py.
That's how I imagined it pronounced in my head. I just
Yeah,
I thought
I watched these tutorial videos by this guy who kept calling it Ren'Py, and I just thought, okay, it's called like that, but it's not.
Yeah, it's called Ren'Py. It's because it's made with Python, so it's got to be the Py.
Is there a specific reason why we're using Ren'Py and Fish?
Well, I mean, most of my tutorials are in Ren'Py. It's one of the engines that I know the best. So, if you want me to be leading you, it's probably going to be better for it to be in Ren'Py.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally open to having Let's Codes where we have somebody who's like an expert in Unity come in and give us some pointers. It's just that that's not going to be me because I'm not an expert in Unity.
So what are like the things we need to be finished for this Let's Code? Like what are the specific items that needs to be like decision?
Okay, so the decisions that I want us to make tonight is we need to figure out a little bit about how our UI is going to look, which means we need to have our stats and stuff defined and have a general idea of how they're going to interact with each other so that we know how things should look. And that's so that people can start making assets if they want to. And then we also need to decide, for real, we need to decide whether this is going to be a Nano project or if it's going to be a longer term project.
I think, given the nature of this project, I think it's gonna be a long term.
That's what I'm thinking too. I mean, I'm willing to put the work in to get it done for NaNoRenO, but I don't know if everybody else is, so...
Yeah, that's the thing. Not everyone might be able to keep up.
Yeah. That's why I'm hesitant to do it, even though somebody suggested that to me. It's just because I don't want to try to exclude people who cannot give intensive amounts of work. Yeah, so is everybody cool with it being a long-term project? Does anybody see any other advantages to it being a NaNoRenO?
Well, if we say NaNoRenO, at least we gotta go, which is November 30th. Because the long-term goal, you might say, there's no specific deadline. So usually when there's no deadlines, that's the higher chance of things fading away, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to be having an event every week, regardless of what our deadline is. But if we were doing NaNoRenO, I mean, we wouldn't start the assets until March, and we would try to finish by the end of March. Because that's when NaNoRenO is.
Oh, I thought NaNoRenO is November.
No, that's NaNoRemo.
Oh.
Wait. I'm getting
Too many nano blank modes.
So NaNoRemo is National Novel Writing Month. National November Writing Month.
I never knew that stuff.
And so...
I just knew it was a writing thing.
And that is in November. But NaNoRenO is specifically for visual novels, and it's a game jam, and it runs the month of March. So, if we do NaNoRenO, we would be constrained to a 1-month timetable to get at least a demo out the door.
Right.
I didn't know it was in March. Yeah, March is a bit of it's really, really tight.
Yeah. So, is everybody cool with it being a longer term project? I mean, we can set deadlines still, if we want. But I'm just not necessarily comfortable with it being a nano deadline.
Yeah. I think
Long
that's
term is fine. I think as long as people as long as you and these events can keep people interesting and they do stuff and drop every week and just upload their stuff, and I think it's gonna make progress. Anyway, it doesn't matter if we decide to make this a long-term project. I think it's gonna be more successful because people will be less stressed about it, and just I think the way I'm imagining it right now is people dropping by every week, showing the stuff they made, and you can add that to the project, and that's it. But if we make it into this nano thing, people a lot less of people will sign up for it, since it's really tight. The time constraint is really high.
I feel like if we do NaNoRenO, what the people will get contributing are the people who wanted to do Nano anyway.
Yeah, but not everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial that we make this a fun, chill project. I think, March is it will make it a very serious sort of endeavor.
Okay, so we are all agreed then? Long-term project?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Long-term project, the motion passes. I need a gavel. Where's my gavel? Chris, can you make a gavel sound effect?
Is that the hammer thingy?
Yeah, the hammer thingy that a judge uses.
Oh, no, I cannot make that sound.
Oh.
How do I make that sound? Just hit something.
Just hit something.
Bam! There we go. All right. That one sounded good.
My desk is a good devil, I guess. All right.
All right. So now we have decided that we're going to do a long-term project. The next thing we need to do before we're finished tonight is to get our mechanics at least mostly hammered out so that we can do stuff like make a mock-up of what the UI should look like and stuff like that. Miko! Hi!
Hello, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Yes. Miko is our lovely sponsor.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'm also the mod, so don't piss me off.
Yes, Ellerin.
Too late.
Oh, damn.
Ellerin is still at work? Wow. Hi, Ari.
Hey, hello, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Hi, Ari.
Hello, nice seeing you here, Chair. Yeah, hearing you, I guess. That works too.
Oh man, that's sad.
Such sadness. Hey, I bought a new mic, so I should sound a bit crisper.
Oh, nice.
You don't care. Huh, alright, thanks a lot. I dropped money for nothing.
Poor Ellerin.
What
What
happened?
are you guys doing?
So right now we have decided that we're not going to make this a nano project. We want to make it a long-term project with less stress and more ability for more people to contribute if they want to.
Yep.
So that is our main decision we have made so far. And now we're going to talk mechanics so we can make a UI mock-up so people can start making assets if they want.
So, I'm seeing this character stats thing on your notes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking the list of skills like brainstorming, outlining, coding, drawing. Are those like the skills a character will use?
Yes, so a character has a skill level in each, or will have a skill, basically object, for each of these different skills. And that skill will have a level and an experience amount before it goes up to the next level. And that level will affect how, it'll change how effective you are when you attack that particular type of task.
Right. So I'm thinking the monsters as a like the Persona 3 and 4 shadows,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and maybe there's different kind of monsters like writer's block monsters,
Mm-hmm.
music monsters and such, and maybe there is a dungeon where all the monsters are like music monsters, and you have to recruit composers, which I'm guessing they are gonna have a high level of composing skill. And
Yeah.
you can battle those monsters with the composers.
Okay, so what you're saying is we would have different dungeons that you need people with certain skill levels to pass through.
Yeah, you can sometimes mix things up. Like, there's not, of course, there's gonna be like the writing dungeon and such, but maybe some general dungeons with several kinds.
Mm-hmm, where it's more random.
monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Nye.
Oh god, it's more mom.
Hello and welcome.
Hi, Nye.
Discord's not working because he's not talking.
Sup?
Oh, Nye's Discord isn't working?
God, I hope he heard that.
I don't know. I can't tell because he's not talking.
That's the joke. was already in the channel with some other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was silent. And I was like, oh, is Discord not working? Guys not talking.
Are you saying that Nia talks a lot?
Now, where on earth would you get those words from? Ideas. I don't know where you got those from.
I don't know. So, yeah. Hi, Nye. So you can actually hear me. Good.
Ampish, are we going for like a more traditional sort of Final Fantasy RPG or like a Game Dev Days, Game Dev Tycoon sort of thing?
No, but I'm a mod and I can unmute myself.
So I've not played Game Dev Tycoons before. I mean, it's gonna be more strict like RPG in how the mechanics work. It's just the names we're putting to things. So like a critical hit is basically inspiration striking. So it's gonna work more like a traditional RPG.
Okay.
I do want to differentiate us from Game Dev Days, basically because I don't want to rip camp off.
So it's
Right, so the thing I was trying to say with that Metal Gear comparison I made earlier, I was looking for two words that didn't come to my mind. So those words are resource management. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, nice.
Overall / team stats, resource management minigame of some sorts.
I'm not sure about a mini game, but you will have to manage the resources you have, which are the audience, the reputation, and the money.
Right. So if I recall correctly, in Game Dev Tycoon you have those kind of resource, and you had like different bars that you could adjust, and that affected how well your game sold. Are we gonna do something like that? Like putting money on marketing, or like we have a bar for money, let's say, and to the left is the marketing thing, and to the right is the recruiting thing. And
So do you want to do something like Long Live the Queen?
yeah. Because that game is a huge resource management.
Yeah, that thing. Here, let me get a screenshot so everyone knows what I'm talking about. In Dev Talk? Yeah, sure. Look how much stuff we can put. Wow.
Oh, the 9 might be doing nano?
Yeah, it's...
I thought I was doing nano.
Maybe it's something like that, but less complex. Because that game is insane.
It is.
Yeah.
Fuck anybody who says you can just casually pick up Long Live the Queen after not playing it for a while. Like, I can stop playing it for like 5 hours and have to completely go back over what everything is.
Yeah, basically, you die and start over.
Yeah, like, it's impossible for me, honestly. I never got past, like, probably 3 endings.
I had to use a guide for it, so...
Yeah, the Queen didn't live long, is the title.
Yeah.
That's false advertising.
So I am thinking that, unlike Long Live the Queen, we're going to focus more on the mechanics of battles.
Yeah. I mean, you can use that sort of system and implement it into the battles, but I mean, it's one idea.
I don't think we're going to be going quite that complicated, though.
Oh, I'm sure, because I wouldn't want to play a game like that with the RPG aspect on top of that. That's
Yeah.
pretty intense.
So, I think, what do you call this? Each, like, RPG revolves around, like, the same base elements, right? Like, the same base stats. Like, there's HP, there's MP, there's your cash, of course, and then there's your, what do you call it, skills, your base skills. So, like, I think we should have, like, an equivalent for those for KamiDev.
Yeah, we have for, so for each character has a level, an amount of experience. They have motivation, which is the correlation to health points. And then they have energy, which is the correlation to MP, basically.
You know, I would suggest changing that HP to be something like literally health points where you have to sleep, physical health. And empty being motivational points, technically. That's very much mentality and perseverance.
Action points.
We both had the same idea.
AP. Because health is very important too. If you don't sleep or anything, you're gonna die.
Okay.
Yeah,
You just fucking die.
The real comic are made by the dead people.
There you go. That's maybe inspiration, right?
Yeah.
You need to jump into the furnace and combine your soul with the game itself to become KamiDev, because it's literally spiritual.
I think instead of hit points or health points, it could be time instead, because
No!
okay, well,
Dame, dame, dame.
wow.
There we go. The one line we all know.
What if we completely ditch the mashing system, like the energy MP, whatever you want to call it, and just have the HP? And what if motivation affects stuff like accuracy and critical chance and such?
also like an invisible stat. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of like that. But see, if we, yeah, where do you get your motivation from? From your audience and
People who
reputation,
hate me
right?
want to see me fail.
Well, I have 3 main motivation sources that you can give to them. One is bribery. One is encouragement, and the other is deadlines, and different characters will have different things that work best for them. And then, of course, the 4th one is money. You can pay them more money to give them more motivation.
I think all of them should have downsides except for money. Because everyone's motivated by money in some way.
Money has no downsides.
Yeah, money is like the OP one. And I don't know that the others have downsides, or just that they're not as effective.
That's like a feedback loop, because okay, you have money, right? That's the OP stat, and you can spend your money to give your characters motivation. But you're spending money in that, and that money does not go to marketing, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's let's say the more natural way to for your characters to gain motivation is through the audience and reputation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do the money thing to increase your character's motivation, but that's not like that's the immediate solution. But it's not like the recommended thing to do.
Yeah, it's a short-term solution, and it may, depending on how well you could otherwise use your money, it may not be the ideal strategy.
Yeah.
And crunch time is basically exchanging help with the AP.
Oh man, this seems a lot more complicated than it should be. There's a lot of balancing involved.
Yeah, the balancing we can address. I mean, that's not really a part of the coding, but it is a part of the development process.
So we got 3 resources right now, right? Money, health, and mana, whatever it represents.
So I was thinking if we're going to go the health route, I want to have both a physical health and a mental health.
I feel like it's too complicated.
I feel like that's a lot of stats and fish.
Yeah.
Well, it was suggested to me that I just ditch the MP and just have motivation, just 1 bar.
I mean, I like the idea, but I think it's also starting to get feature creep.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is just like the whole point of this is not to create an actual like fully developed game. It's just to get a way for people to learn how to implement.
Right. And so, therefore, I don't want to make anything too complicated. I just want to make things...
Have to be accurate.
Right. It doesn't have to be super accurate. It just needs to be an example that people can build off of when they make their own things.
Exactly.
So I think maybe cutting it down to just motivation as health and MP even, just like combining them, is maybe the way to go.
Whatever works. I mean, I'm okay with health and MP or whatever being together or separate because most RPGs do have a mana bar anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's a typical sort of application.
Yeah, I think if we go the more typical route, that's better because if we go more typical, that's more applicable to more like different. For example, if we're gonna do more RPGs, at least most RPGs have a health bar, a mana bar, and skills and money.
Mm-hmm.
People can change it as they will.
Yeah, okay.
I think only doing motivation as the only resource your characters can use, it's an interesting way of doing things because let's say here says characters need motivation in order to do actions. Okay, so what if the motivation is both the MP and the HP at the same time? Like your characters have, let's say, 100 motivation, and let's say a character takes a hit and it takes like 20 damage. So now your character has 80 motivation points. So he could also do less actions because of this, because he got hit.
Yes, that is what I was getting at with the combination there. It's just like you're gonna have to be more careful, you know? It's gonna make your margins, it's gonna make it less easy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if, like, because let's say you use a ton of skills in a fight, it doesn't matter if that character dies, because it's only like, let's think it of like it's a day of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, you did a bunch of stuff, like in the game. That's stuff. It's gonna be skills you use against the monsters, and that's it. And then you go home and sleep and get some rest, and then you go to work the next day and have your HP or motivation, whatever, maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's more interesting because it works. Then the motivation points works both as your HP and your SP.
Yeah, I kind of like that actually. I think it's going to make things more interesting. Even if it's not as typical, I think it'll be it'll give it a little bit of a unique flavor.
Yeah, and let's say you don't have to finish a whole dungeon in one day. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm getting at.
I think it's actually pretty good because even in real life, if you do too many things at once, you really do get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see how that would, and it would also be easier since we only have one bar to keep track of.
Yes, that's definitely a factor. So, okay, let's get rid of the energy MP and let's just say motivation is health points and action points. So we have one bar.
One big motivation bar.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so one thing I've mentioned is that completing a project will raise your maximum amount of motivation, while failing a project, or I guess being KO'd while fighting a project, will lower it.
Right.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I agree with that.
Okay.
So, Empish, we know what decreases your motivation bar. What increases the motivation bar?
You get motivation over time, and then you have these strategies that you can use, the bribery, encouragement, deadlines thing I mentioned. I was thinking that basically during, like, as the team lead, you get 1, maybe 2 motivation related actions per turn that you get to do for free by bribing or encouraging or giving someone a deadline.
Yeah.
There should be a random man who just comes by one day and gives you lemonade, and it fully restores your motivation. And then his only NPC dialogue for the EV Empire.
Oh, yeah. For the EV Empire. Lemonade.
So what if different characters have different motivation recovery ratios?
Okay.
I think it's like, imagine you have a character that's like has lots of motivation and
Mm-hmm.
her skills hurt a lot, but once you use up all her motivation, it takes a long time to recover.
Okay. Well, we could do that one of 2 ways. So, if you want the motivation to have its recovery rate based on how much motivation you have, we can do that, or we can just have a set motivation recovery rate for each character.
Yeah, I was thinking about the second option.
Don't make it too complicated.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm Miko. I can code it either way.
Well, yeah, I know, but
Oh, my cat is making herself heard.
Meow. So, right, we have like bribery, deadlines, that sort of thing. What if those, like, weren't you saying, Empish, a while ago that for each character, like each sort of, like for example, one character will have bribery work better than deadlines or something? Is
Mm-hmm.
that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that could work, right? Because
What it's reminding me of is like the Elder Scrolls games where you can like threaten versus cajole people and stuff like that, and each person will have something that works better on them when you're trying to charm them or whatever, or persuade them.
okay, so just to clarify, so we have those bribery, deadlines, that sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the lemonade, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we have the lemonade.
Gotta have lemonade. Never forget it.
Is there like a rest option? Is it like turn-based? So you would like select the rest option?
Yeah, it's gonna be turn-based, so I guess, yeah, somebody could take a rest and therefore recover motivation and by doing nothing that turn.
Okay, I think, is there anything more that needs to be... I think those are pretty good features, unless you other guys have suggestions.
What if healing, instead of healing, it's encouragement words?
What?
You can do it, man. You can totally nail this script. And then whoosh, it gets its motivation.
And then whoosh.
That's an interesting idea, though. So, like, maybe we could have, like, one character that, when you is presented with a deadline, it actually lowers their motivation.
Oh,
And like bribery could also lower some because it affects their health exhaustion. Like, and then encouragement is like turn off some for some because they're introverts and they hate people.
I think a better one might be when they're looking at other VMs that are better. It might motivate them or demotivate them.
Okay, so I could do that as competition.
Sure.
Oh yeah, that could work. Competition.
Oh my god. What?
She'll love it.
Yeah, vegetable.
oh, you guys talking in depth, I'm sorry. I haven't read any of that.
We talking Dev Talk or Dev Club?
Dev Club, I think, right now.
Our donate.
Okay, so I guess the next order of business is to, now that we have our stats set, we should try to figure out how they're going to be displayed.
Sorry. This is too good.
A furry egg, Eggy.
Don't you bring furries into this? Don't desecrate this.
We should totally have a secret random character that appears once in a while that you can recruit. That's a furry artist.
Minus 1,000 motivation.
They're able to give you a lot of money. Because they're able to contribute a lot of money to it. Because they make some money.
Yeah, but you only have a 1% chance of recruiting them.
You know?
Yeah.
But then you gotta make all furry bands. So that your profits. Would your profits skyrocket?
I don't know.
I'm too afraid to look up.
I'm certainly not looking up while we're on this video.
It's very neat. Oh yeah, you're making a video.
Guys, could you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm just cooking lunch. Just go on.
Okay. No, Alex, it's not resource management. It's going to be an RPG with battles and stuff like that, but it has like a bit of a resource management flavor. Yes, Alex, it's an RPG.
Bataru.
Patarus. No, we don't fight each other, Miko, unless something goes wrong. What we fight is the work.
Sure.
The work monsters.
Usually what happens is we fight each other and the work just sits there.
Yeah.
The work is the final boss, but we can't get to it because we're too busy fighting each other.
Okay, so I think teamwork and communication need to be stats for characters.
I like that, yeah. Yeah, but,
Ooh, good. That's a good idea.
What's a good idea?
what are they gonna do? Those
Drama
things?
needs to be in
Oh, drama. Nice. Okay, so what are our statuses besides drama?
What are negatives?
Yeah, what are our different statuses? So we have inspiration, or EVA inspiration.
Yes.
Terrible.
Negatives. Drama.
So it's going to be some sort of negative, but what kind? Is it going to sap motivation? Is it going to like paralyze? What is it going to be?
Procrastination is paralyzed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Dedication.
Art/writer's block.
Okay, so we can call it content block or something weird like that.
Yeah, something more general, yeah.
That'll like decrease your attack against the tasks. So,
I was thinking about creativity block, maybe.
okay, creativity block.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's drama gonna do?
It's gonna define the teamwork and what's the talking between them?
Communication?
Yeah.
No, it's one hit KO. It's just
No.
How about it actually increases the workload as well?
Oh. Ooh.
Because think about it, when drama hits, you can't get anything done. You have to go and do more work to get it fixed.
Okay, so how about instead of increasing the number of tasks or monsters, just making them stronger?
Making them what?
Making them stronger?
Okay.
Yeah.
You suck, guy. I mean, somebody
That sounds
hate
like-
your spot as EV Emperor.
Oh, Joey, that's a great idea.
Ooh. That is good, Joe.
So it can be like Charmed, except that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now I want to play KamiDev.
Attack other teammates.
It's such a fun game. I think I have it on my Kindle.
Okay. So,
What about, like, sleepiness?
okay, insomnia?
It could work like a poison, then. It drains your motivation.
Okay, so poison.
Insomnia, yeah.
And it's sort of it's like the poison stuff.
Okay.
What else? There's usually like something that deals consistent damage, right?
That's the poison.
I think we need something like
Why would game screenshot cause me to get procrastination?
Depression.
Right.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think we need something like cat videos distract.
I was thinking social media. I was going to say social media earlier, but I like cat videos.
Okay. We'll call it distraction, and when we actually do it, I'll see if I can get like a cat sound happening or something. I'll get Debutante to meow, and I'll use that as our sound effect for that.
Whoa, I'm distracted already.
Okay, so what does distraction actually do, though? Lowers your accuracy, maybe?
Is that I found like really dumb, pointless videos like how to properly cut a wheel of cheese. Like that.
Hey, it might give you inspiration, right? It could be like 50% or chance to guess.
Lowers accuracy here. That's great.
I'm pretty sure distraction is the same as procrastination. So I'm surprised.
Oh, okay. I guess we could combine them then.
Can you not get full ones?
What?
Oh no, I'm talking to deny.
Can your game not suck incredibly?
Yeah, I
Why
can.
is your game only fairly sucky?
Oh, good job.
Are you though? You're making visual novels in a game, Dev Tycoon, when you could actually be working on something.
Damn. Delicious. Fuck. Meow.
Okay, so... do we have any other status effects we want? I feel like we could have depression, which, like, halves your rate of motivation recovery.
That's really nice, yeah. That could work.
Okay.
Oh, we get sick. Just,
Oh, sick is good.
yeah, sick is good. Sick is great. Literally.
In this context, it is.
Just after decapitated.
Okay, so what is sickness gonna actually do, though?
Infects other people.
Yeah, but if it doesn't have any negative effects, then it doesn't matter if your team is sick.
I'm sure it's
I
gonna
think
happen.
it doesn't do anything right away in the battle, but once you get like back from battle, that character is out for like a few days.
Honestly, though, I think we have enough status.
Okay.
Anyway. We can add more if we want. It's just like, we can just work with the ones we have now.
Yeah, let's do that for now.
We can just add indefinitely, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like sickness can also be folded into insomnia, or insomnia can be renamed to sickness, maybe?
Yeah, change insomnia to sickness and keep the poison thing. And that's it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's good work, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So let's take a look at how the recruiting mechanic would work, because we've talked about how the battle mechanics would work pretty well.
Obviously, you didn't work enough on it if you got those low scores.
Poor Nye.
I was thinking maybe you can choose from a list of random generated characters, and there could be some special ones also.
So, I mean, there's two ways we could approach this. We could either have, you have a list of people you can try to recruit from every time you're in between a battle, in between battles, or not at a dungeon, like, or if you're at town or whatever. And then, you have a chance to recruit them free, and if you fail at that, you can pay to recruit them. And I guess we decided that money for paid devs would be continuous payment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Can we blackmail them?
No.
No.
How do you get money though?
You start with some money.
can we pay them in exposure?
Could be Easter egg.
There is a chance for you to recruit them for free, but the better the dev is, the lower that chance.
It's actually pretty good.
Might get scammed too.
So the free artists can't recruit for free.
It's too popular.
That's too much overkill.
So basically, when you recruit for someone for free, that's like you successfully got them passionate about your project.
What if we make the the recruitment thing a fixed price, and we just turn the game into a gacha game?
Oh no! That was actually the other option I was gonna say.
Pay money to.
Pay money to get a shot at recruiting a good team member.
I mean, it's pretty realistic, isn't it?
Well,
Nah, it's not.
no, it's not.
Hey, maybe we could even earn for this project. We could get this AAA artist if you roll for it.
I can hear how Chair is cutting the veggies.
Oh, you can hear that? Try to stay as quiet as possible.
And so, let's see. Other ways to make money are by growing your audience. So audience would increase your money intake.
Setting
An
up a
actual
big
job.
Yeah, a job. A job earns you lots of money but decreases your motivation.
Yeah, okay.
Beg for money.
Yeah, having a job, so, okay, I'm gonna say having a job provides passive money income to the team, but decreases motivation. And I feel like maybe there could be different types of jobs, some's related to dev and some not. So like if you have one that's related to dev, in addition to getting money, you could also gain skill.
But those are rarer.
Yes, they are rarer. Okay, so now we need to think about how we want this to look.
Could we like do it text-based first and then think of the graphic like a bit way more down the road?
Well, I want to think about the graphics, not necessarily that we need them, but that we can, for those who want to contribute, give them something to start on. Because I know Miko and Ellerin and Jerose all want to contribute.
Like, so of course, there's UI.
Mm-hmm.
What do the enemies look like? Like just shadow sort of things, or like a big box, big video game box?
I'm not sure actually. They could like for the music-based monsters, they could look like musical notes. For the writing-based monsters, they could be they could look like pens or something like that. You know,
Oh yeah. That's for the attacks, right? What are the...
no, for the actual how the little sprite characters look.
Oh, okay. So, what do you call this? Is it gonna be like pixel art-ish or visual novel-ish? Like, what does it look like? What...
I mean, that depends on what people want to contribute. Miko says she might do pixel art, maybe, for the battle sprites.
I don't know, this is what my sprites look like, if that's what we go with.
Well, someone did something like they're trying to do in Pokemon already. According to that video Eric posted in Dev Talk.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
they're doing what now?
Nah, it's just a meme.
Oh. You guys are shitposting at me and making it sound like it's relevant.
But it can be relevant.
Okay, so the Miko has posted in Dev Club what her sprites look like, her battle sprites. Right, but I mean, they would be the same style, right?
And they could be.
Well, you said you only had one pixel style.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I haven't done any battle sprites before, so. Because there's two types of battles. There's the ones that are front facing and ones where it's on the side view where you see everything.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking we could go with a side view, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. But I mean, like a side view would give you a better view of the whole team.
Yeah. But then you have to do things like have them move and stuff when they attack. You have to have attacks more than
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's based on what you're willing to do, Miko.
Well, I'm just a writer. I could write some like bios, those kappa.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible. But I mean, we're going to be basing the characters off actual Dev Talk people. So, like, for musicians or composers, we'd have, like, Alex and Chris.
They can provide their bios themselves.
Yes.
And then everyone is going to say they're the best.
Yes, Nye, actual Dev Talk people.
And I will just be the unnamed NPC.
Yes, Nye will be the Lemonade Man.
I do still have game dev story on here.
So are these Dev Talk people, are they gonna be the rare and well-known people that give extra audience?
Maybe some of them. I'm not really rare, well known, so.
I have no clue what I'm doing. I just loaded. Oh god. Stop. I loaded game dev story on my Kindle and it started glitching out.
Oh no.
I also haven't played it in years, so I have no clue what's going on. And I'm like, you're 18 with $85 million for Patacorp.
Okay, anything else we should talk about?
So I guess we should talk about the UI a little bit before we go for the night.
Let your memes be dreams. And all your dreams be memes.
Or we could just stop for now if you guys want. I feel like we hammered out quite a bit of good stuff.
I think so, yeah. Alright, yep.
Okay, well, in that case, thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to stop recording now, but you can stay as long as you want and we can chat afterwards. Goodbye, everybody.